The Eastwood Sidejack DLX Part 2. This is a Part 2 video. The first video is an overview of the Eastwood Sidejack DLX. The link to that video is in this video's description. In the first video, I made the following statements. I like the pickups that came with the guitar. I want to try upgrading the electronic components. The components that come with a guitar from the factory do the job, but they're not very high quality components. I'm going to build a new circuit with 300K CTS pots, a Mallory 0.047 UF capacitor, and a Switchcraft 3-way toggle pickup selector switch. This will be the first time I'm using 300K pots with P90 pickups. I've tried different pot values, including 500K and 250K. I've had several viewers on multiple occasions push for me to try 300K pots, saying that those are the pots to use. One thing I should have said in the prior video is that the guitar is a little noisy with the 60 cycle hum. P90s are notoriously noisy, but this guitar seems to be a little noisier than most P90s that I'm used to. In this video, I'm replacing the wiring harness, but leaving the original pickups. One thing that I think is cool is that you can actually remove the pickguard from this guitar without removing the guitar strings. All of the wiring harness then is fully accessible. There is some shielding on the underside of the pickguard, but not a lot. There is no shielding in any part of the control cavity where the electronics sit inside of the guitar, something I will talk about later. I did not do anything special with this wiring build other than I'm trying 300K CTS pots, as I said before, on the advisement of a few channel viewers. I'm also using, as I also said, a Mallory 0.047 UF capacitor. I used the wire that was in the original wiring harness as it seemed in okay quality, it was in new condition, and it was already cut to length. When I looked at the original wiring, the design was almost exactly what I was going to build, except with far better components. I've not been a believer in having expensive capacitors in my circuits. I mean, I haven't bought like really cheap capacitors, but like orange drop capacitors and so on. But I've not really seen evidence or heard evidence, a better way of seeing it, that expensive capacitors really make a difference. And when I say expensive capacitors, I'm talking about like the Mallory, Bumblebee, and so on. Some of these capacitors can be like $30 a piece. Waylon McPherson is a content creator in Australia on YouTube that does excellent guitar videos and released one titled, What Sounds Best? Guitar Tone Capacitors, Cheap versus Expensive, where he created a box that you can plug into the guitar that allows him to then insert into the circuit many different capacitors. In the video, he tries many different types of capacitors and lets you hear the difference, and he also is testing with testing gear. You should really watch the video. It's very enlightening. Regardless, I recently purchased some Bumblebee capacitors and also the Mallory capacitors to give them a try in my builds. I used the caps in a few recent projects. The output was, to be honest, some of the warmest sounding circuits I've ever put together. After I put this circuit together and tested the build with my bench amp, both pickups worked great and sounded warm and with full range of lows to highs. When I plugged into my larger amp that I use for recording on the channel, I was a little sad as the noise was still there and it was just as loud. I had made sure all of the grounds were secure and the bridge ground specifically was attached into the circuit. I took the guitar back to the bench off camera and I opened it back up, and I spent about an hour applying copper tape shielding to the inside cavity and the bottom of the pickguard. When I plugged the guitar back in, I could notice some reduction, but not a lot. I played the guitar a while and really enjoy playing this guitar. It's such a great looking and playable guitar. I want it to be better than it is, and I know I have more work to do to get it there. This will not be a guitar I end up selling or trading, as I'll never get back what I will eventually put into it. So I started to do research on quieter P90s and reading different reviews. Fralin, Seymour Duncan, and Mojo Tones and other companies all have quiet models of P90s that make claims that they're much quieter, to pretty much almost eliminating the 60 cycle hum. I finally landed on the Seymour Duncan Hot P90 Silencer Soap Bar set of pickups, and I ordered them. I'll say this, all of the versions of quiet P90 pickups are pretty pricey. They range in price of about $250 to over $300 per set. So, unintentionally, I'm going to do a third video where I install the new pickups. I really need to figure out how to record the 60 cycle hum of the existing pickups, and then do the same thing with the new pickups installed so we together can hear if it really made a difference and whether the $300 investment in the pickups was worth doing. I recently tried to sell my Eastwood Classic DG 335, that's the Dave Grohl model of an Eastwood. I kept having to drop the price and wouldn't get any offers on Reverb. This is a guitar that I put Gibson burst buckers into and a custom vintage style wiring harness into. Finally decided to permanently just keep the guitar. This will probably irk some folks, but it came with a pickguard that was not installed. And I have a thing where I cannot really stand Gibson Les Pauls or 335 style guitars without pickguards. It's just my opinion. I installed the supplied pickguard on this guitar. Now the guitar is permanently mined. I knew once I installed the pickguard I'd never be able to sell the guitar because it no longer looks like a Dave Grohl style guitar. Although I'd argue that point. I recently saw a video of him playing in front of Paul McCartney and President Obama, and he was singing the song Band on the Run. Well, he was playing a gold version of his Trini Lopez guitar, and it had a pickguard. I don't know why I'm telling you this, other than it is hanging on the wall in my living room next to me while I'm writing this script. And it is such a cool effing guitar to play, and it's also an Eastwood guitar. So stay tuned for part 3 when the pickups come in, and I will release that hopefully shortly.